Hey guys, I'm Cody, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about the S8 Plus versus the iPhone 7 Plus. So we got Battle of the Gargantuans today. Um, Kind of an overall review. I am going to go off on a little rant here and there about phones in general. However, I would like to compare and tell you guys stuff that no other phone reviews really give you. No one talks about daily driving. They talk about features and they talk about specs, but they never talk about using it on a day to day basis. You know, those little annoyances to like the good things that you really are glad that exist. So that's what I want to talk to you about. I know that you guys have a lot of other videos you could be watching right now. So I appreciate you guys clicking on this one and sticking with me. If you guys, this is my first phone review, so if you want to go in the comment section, give me a little bit of criticism, I would absolutely really appreciate it. Just be respectful. No need for trolling, right? So, starting off, we have this beautiful screen here. It goes all the way from the top to the bottom almost. It is a little surreal to use. It's a little different, only because no one's used to such a tall phone. So I'm sitting here and I'm looking at it, and there should be where normally a phone frame is. It's just screen. So my eyes don't always see that high up or that far down. I'm just not used to that field of vision. So when talking about first impressions, I got this phone yesterday. I got it out of the box, and I was just really excited to get rid of my iPhone. Tired of the restrictions that iPhone has on you, space, and the customization, and everything else. And one thing that I really like is the infinity display. I don't mind having the home button down here. If you see that right there, it's a little different to use. I don't like how it works, but I don't mind that it's there. So one problem that I have is on the iPhone. The iPhone did it right. So it's Samsung kind of ripped it off from the iPhone. The iPhone has obviously the iPhone 7 has the touch button, home button. Now, when you click on it, it clicks. It feels really good. It feels like a button. It feels analog. And how they did that was quite amazing. And I got to give Apple props, and I'm not an Apple fan. However, the other haptic feedback on here is amazing as well. When I press down, it clicks, and I know that it clicks and a menu is going to pop up. When I'm scrolling through an options menu, I can feel it. It's like a little mechanical gear turning, and it's kind of addicting. I like the feel of it. When the phone vibrates, when you get a call or you get a text or something like that, the whole phone vibrates. It's a solid feeling. When this vibrates, or when I push this home button, it lags, right? If I'm on another screen, I go to hold it down. Let me see if I can do this for you. It's really hard. That's another thing. It's hard with the bezel-less display. If I'm on another screen and I go to hold down, see that lag time there? It's just not nice. It doesn't feel good. I don't like lagging to my home screen. Just let me click the button and go. That's not asking too much. Other phones do it. Why can't you? I think that this phone overall is an afterthought. I think a lot of Samsung products after the Note 4 are afterthoughts. I think that it's very reactionary to what's out there and not innovative like Samsung used to be. In fact, I still would advocate the Note 4 is one of the best phones on the market today, and that phone is what, 2, 3 years old now. So in saying that, I digress. The screen's interesting. It's fun in the game launcher mode because when you go to a game, you can actually select. Most apps are not optimized for the S8 or the S8 Plus and having the wide aspect ratio. So what it actually does is you can go here, if I can get into a game real quick. So what you can do is you can actually stretch it to fill the entire screen. So I don't think it's doing it right now. However, one of the issues that you'll have when you go to fill the whole screen is that it sometimes distorts the game itself, and you'll have to restart it, and you'll have to deal with black bars on the top and on the bottom. So if I go to the game launcher, I just swipe up here. This is all touch now. and I go to full screen mode, it's going to ask me to restart the game, which is annoying. And then we're going to restart the game again. And you won't have those black bars. It'll fill the entire screen up all the way from top to bottom, giving you full use of the infinity screen. So getting out of that menu, one of the other things that I don't like about Samsung is that they always overheat. And I'm not talking a little bit. I had this phone in my hand yesterday, fresh out of the box, setting it up. It was fine. And then it was interesting because after the setup, when everything's supposed to be running quietly, it was getting very, very hot in my hand. It just doesn't feel good. Why are we getting hot phones? Zenfone AR, the Asus Zenfone AR, has vapor cooling technology. Cost almost just as much as this. It's got 3 cameras in the back. This has 1. You're not getting what you pay for, I don't think. So this isn't really me telling you what phone not to buy or to buy. This is me telling you, just for your own information, do you really want to wait, or do you want to, jump on something like the S8 Plus because it's hot and it's got a curved bezel-less screen? One of the things about the bezel-less screen is you touch everything all the time. This Bixby button, for instance, I go to hold the phone, because it's so long, my thumb just happens to rest right on the Bixby button. When I'm trying to hold the phone. Otherwise, I got to hold it just by the corners, and that seems really odd. So when I go to hold it with my thumbs more towards the middle for better stabilization, I'll click the Bixby button, and it gets out of my game, or it gets out of my Netflix or videos or whatever it is, and goes to Bixby. I haven't used Bixby. I don't usually use the assistants. Siri, I barely touched. And Google is meh. So when dealing with the actual design of the phone, yeah, it looks great. It feels great in the hand. If I'm talking on it, it feels wonderful because it's narrow and bezel-less and rounded. One of the things that I don't like is the Bixby button. I don't really prefer a true bezel-less design, simply for the fact that, you can see how my thumb naturally just, trying to hold this all glass phone so it doesn't slip out of my hands, I'm going to end up touching something on the screen. So going even further, one of the things that I really loved about the Note 7, and I'm so bitter that they ripped it out of my hands because of legal issues, meaning, because it was exploding and whatnot, everyone was forced to turn their Note 7s in. The great thing about that phone was it was almost bezel-less, and the screen was flat and had a slight curve just on the outside edge. Now, the reason why I point that out is this: when you're reading or viewing an image, or you're recording or something like that, you're always touching the screen, and you're always, it distorts the image, right? So when I'm reading an article, sometimes the text wraps around the edges, and it's just miserable. It gives me a headache. My wife was looking at it, and she's like, I refuse to ever look at your phone. If you ever want to show me something, just send it to me, because it always gives me a headache. It hurts my eyes. And I kind of don't feel to that extent the same way, but I do understand what she's saying. It distorts the image, and it makes it kind of difficult to read long term. Now, when we're talking about other things about the screen and about the video and the display, the iPhone 7 Plus is absolutely amazing. Now, I think it drowns out colors a little bit. However, it is very, very, very smooth. It actually has a very high refresh rate, and I noticed this while I was streaming, I think a hockey game or a baseball game, and I was just amazed at the refresh rate on it. Now, I played a 4K video at 60 FPS, frames per second, and side by side yesterday while this one was charged, and noticeably, the S8 is actually slightly choppy. The iPhone 7 is completely smooth. Love the screen. Kind of disappointed they're getting their screens from Samsung for the iPhone 8, because I hope that they don't, kill the great things about this screen. The S8 is choppy, and it's way oversaturated. I even tried to turn down some of the settings, so that way it wouldn't be so, in your eyes, the reds and the greens. It almost distorts what you're looking at when something's so oversaturated. Um, and that just kind of, that's a Samsung feature. It's the same feature with every Samsung that's ever come out. That's just them. You're just gonna have to deal with it, and I'm okay with it. It's just, if they could tone it down a little bit, that'd be great. More natural with some pop would be nice. The screen overall is good. It's nice. It's nice to look at when you're watching a video or something like that. It can be kind of nice. Videos don't go in the 18.5:9 aspect ratio, so you're going to have, black bars come up just slightly here and here. And one other thing I want to point out is that I think I've gone over pretty much everything. I've kind of lost my place. Sorry, guys. I had some stuff written down. Um, you know, Going on my rant about phones in general, and I want to make it clear that I'm not trying to just bitch about random things. I'm trying to hold these companies accountable for what they're selling us for the amount of money that they're charging. Now, iPhone, this plug right here, the Lightning port, as they call it, is the only way to listen to music, as most people know by now. Now, they had an adapter, and they said, okay, we'll include an adapter in the box for your regular aux headphones. I have $200 headphones, multiple sets. None of them would work with the extension port. And I looked it up, and Apple actually said it was a problem, and yet they never fixed it. There was no software glitch. They didn't send out, a memo saying, hey, there's a new extender, nothing. Or a converter cable. So I was stuck with listening to Bluetooth on this phone. Now, while it's not bad, I listen to music generally, the 96 kilohertz by 24-bit, high-res flocks, stuff like that, which is why I like having space on a phone, because an album takes a gig. So I like listening to music on Androids versus the iPhone because I like to have my aux port. I like my analog sound. One of the things that we're doing, or that LG did this year with the G6, is that if you get a G6 anywhere around the world, it includes their infamous quad DACs, the digital analog converters. However, in the United States, people are so obsessed with gimmicks that they chose to take out the quad DACs for wireless charging. Now, I know some people out there, you're going to say, oh, I love wireless charging. That's good, cool for you, bro. But, it's a gimmick. It's all it is. Well, it wears out my port faster. Well, I've had phones for a very, very long time, and I can tell you that I never really wore out a port. I use them all the time, and I never wore one out to the point where it was, unless you abuse the hell out of it, in which case you can trade it in for a warranty anyway. It's so superfluous in the fact that the wireless charging is still connected to a cable, and I like to use my phone while it's plugged in. If it doesn't really bother me plugging in my phone and setting it on my nightstand versus just setting it on a wireless charger for $70. Just the cost makes no sense to me. One thing I will say, too, is that the fingerprints, just as I'm looking and trying to judge on what to review about, this phone loves fingerprints. It has fingerprints all over it. There is absolutely nothing that will keep fingerprints off of this phone. Oh, and speaking of, while I'm looking at the back, one of the issues I personally have with this phone is that if you look, you have the heart rate sensor, you have the camera, and you have the fingerprint scanner all in the back. Now, I know that Samsung was wanting to put the fingerprint sensor underneath the display on the home button. It would have been nice. However, they, as an afterthought, once again, they had to put it on the back for now. Now, the reason why I don't like this isn't because of fingerprint scanner. I don't really use that a whole lot. But the heart rate scanner, on the other hand, it has it's flat. It's underneath the flat glass. If you look on the side here, you can tell that, there is nothing distinguishing or anything about the camera popping out or anything. The fingerprint scanner is a little indented, so you can feel that. You can feel this rim around the camera, but it's almost completely flush. the heart rate sensor is entirely flush. You don't know. So when you're going to take a selfie, it doesn't, you miss it a lot, and you're just on the camera, you're on the left of the camera. It's very hard to tell where you're at. That is one of the things that, made them so good in the past, was that, like, oh, I can just touch it and know where my finger is. In selfie mode, it's very easy to miss this, and I wish it just had a bezel around it. I wish it was slightly accentuated from the rest of the other gadgets in the back. Now Samsung has they know about the fingerprint scanner and, your finger hitting the camera all the time. But no one's ever said anything about the heart rate sensor, and I don't know why, because it was very hard to make sure that my finger was on it while I was, playing around with it yesterday. Once again, went over the Bixby button. It's always in the way. Yeah, I think that's really it. You have phones out there like the Asus. You have phones out there like, oh, I don't know, the Sony, Nokia, other brands who are putting giant cameras into their phones. They don't even have the 835 chip. They don't have the A10 chip from, Apple. And they're putting multiple cameras in. And if it's not even multiple cameras, at least they're over 20 megapixels. Why does this matter? I'm in Oregon. There are absolutely beautiful things here. When I go on a hike or I go on a mountain, I don't go on them often because I'm fat and I don't like to, go up hills. So when I do, I want to make sure that I remember it in such a way, that it kind of brings it back to life. Now we're in 2017. Now back in 2005, not 2005. I'm sorry. When I had my Nokia 832, which was maybe about 6 years ago, 2011, I think is what it was. They still had like a 22 megapixel camera. I took beautiful shots on that when I was in Okinawa. Now here it is. I'm sitting looking at a 12 megapixel shooter on a Samsung in 2017 on a flagship $1,000 phone, $850. The real true problem about this is if you want 12 megapixels, you better take a 4x3 shot, which is a square or almost a square. If you want to change it to 16:9, which is a normal aspect ratio, which gives you, landscape mode, it gives you a nice, wide viewing angle, which is what we're used to now. It's what shows up on TVs. It's what, your phone views best. Well, you're going to drop all the way down to, 8 megapixels. So what's the point of even putting, a 12 megapixel camera in there and an amazing sensor if I can't get 12 megapixels no matter what format I use? Now, I'm not a photographer, I'm not a camera maker, I'm not an engineer. All I'm saying is, if someone could explain it, that'd be great. If not, hey, that's cool too. But what I do know is that my old cameras take some of the best pictures, and these are so pixelated. If you want to zoom into anything at all it does is just overprocess. And it's same with the iPhone. iPhone does do a better job. I really enjoy this camera. The haptics, the screen, and the camera. That's what I like about the iPhone. And that's about it. I do like iMessage. That was really, really convenient having iMessage because most of my friends do have iPhones. The fact that Samsung just misses the mark all the time, and it's just always annoying to deal with. You sit there and you say, wow, the Note 4 was amazing. It had 16 megapixels. In fact, I actually had an old Note 4, and I had the S7 Edge, and I went and took those out on a hike down in the Redwoods, and the pictures were amazing. And the difference is that the Note 4 pictures were actually better. When you wanted to zoom in and show somebody something, or you want to say, hey, look at, there's a little spot over here, and you zoomed in, it was a bit clearer. It wasn't the best, but, it was still clear and noticeably different. I just feel like we're not getting what we're paying for. There are phones out there right now for the same price as both of these phones that have so much more features and there's so much more quality. The Asus is running on an optimized 821 processor, 3 cameras on the back. The new Nokias are said to have Carl Zeiss lenses again. Sony's running a 23 megapixel camera or something around there. And I really feel like we need to hold these people accountable and tell them enough's enough. We want more than the shit that you're giving us, because that's essentially what it is. Um, I don't want to just slander a company. That's not my purpose. My purpose is to educate and inform and really dive into product design. It's almost just like, what were you thinking? 2017, we deserve a lot more quality than what we're receiving. When I can sit there and have a 2K screen from 3 years ago, when I have the same amount of RAM, memory and stuff like that. I mean, the Note 4, I keep going back to that phone because it's really not that much different from anything else Samsung's given us, in the recent years. At least iPhone, is, I don't know, is still iPhone. Um, and, the only reason why they got rid of the aux port was because they own Beats. And they also came out with the AirPods. So obviously they just wanted to make money at it. That's just not cool to consumers. It's just, it doesn't work. It's not, doesn't work for me. I hope it doesn't work for you. And I hope that we can, do something that actually helps these companies help us. The fact that an iPhone 7 Plus even comes with 32 gigs anymore is a little absurd. The default should be 64 at this point. My iPhone 4 is still up and running, has 32 gigs, and that was a big deal back in the day. This thing, 32 gigs. I'm at the last game at Joe Louis Arena, taking pictures of Red Wings, close to the ice, and all I'm keep getting, I'm like, would you upload to the cloud already so my storage doesn't fill? And it cut out some memorable moments. It's a little, just a little ridiculous, and I feel like there's just better ways of doing things. I feel like we're getting ripped off to some extent, and that's about the end of it. Thank you guys for watching my video. I really appreciate it. If you could just list your comments down at the bottom. You know, criticisms, like I said, appreciated. Hope you guys will stick around. I'm hopefully getting that Note 8 when it comes out. We'll see what happens. If it's Nokia 9, whether it be the Galaxy X, the foldable, Samsung, or whether it be something else, I will definitely have another video review for you guys. Thanks for watching.